Welcome to Myra Fairy Tales. Once upon a time, in an ancient and prosperous kingdom filled with marble palaces, emerald forests, and towering mountains kissed by clouds, a queen gave birth to a baby boy unlike any child seen before. He was a strange little infant with bright, intelligent eyes and a small tufted hair sticking straight out from the top of his head, so unusual and distinctive that the midwives stared in confusion and the court whispered behind closed doors. To everyone's surprise, the wise fairy who attended the birth declared that this child would grow to be exceptionally clever. So clever that his mind could solve any puzzle, create any invention, or outwit any opponent. She also blessed him with a gift. He would be able to grant intelligence to the person he loved most. The queen, shocked at her baby's odd appearance, but comforted by his destiny, named him Ricky and cherished him with gentle pride. As Ricky grew, his gift became undeniable. He was witty, quick, and imaginative. He learned languages before he could walk steadily, recited poetry when other children babbled nonsense, and built clockwork toys and complicated gadgets from scraps. But though Ricky's mind was brilliant, his outward appearance remained awkward, and many children laughed at him for being small, odd, and not at all handsome. Their cruel laughter often followed him down the palace halls, yet Ricky learned to smile through the pain, hiding his hurt behind clever jokes and mischievous tricks. He soon discovered that humor was a shield, and words were armor. Still, deep down, he wished that the world valued more than beauty. In a neighboring kingdom, a beautiful princess was born on the same day as Ricky. She had golden hair, sparkling eyes, and a voice so melodious that birds would imitate her. Everyone who laid eyes on her believed she would grow to be the most stunning woman in the world. And she did. She became so breathtakingly gorgeous that nobles traveled miles simply to see her walk in the palace gardens. But hidden beneath her perfection was a painful truth she carried like a secret wound. She was hopelessly dull. Her mind wandered, she could not learn, she could not reason, and she often sat silently because she had nothing interesting to say. Tutors sighed in despair, suitors grew bored, and servants whispered that beauty was wasted on a mind that could not hold a thought. The princess, aware of her flaw, grew ashamed, and her loneliness wrapped around her like a cold, invisible cloak. She had a younger sister who had the opposite fate. While she was plain in appearance, sometimes overlooked, she was brilliant, imaginative, thoughtful, charming, and everyone loved speaking with her. The two sisters were perfect opposites, one blessed with beauty and cursed with dullness, the other cursed with plainness and blessed with wit. The older princess often envied her sister's lively conversations, wishing she had the courage to speak without fear of sounding foolish. Every night she cried in secret, longing for a mind that matched her face, and every day she prayed that beauty was not all she would be remembered for. One summer day, the palace organized a grand festival in honor of the princesses, attracting nobles, musicians, and adventurers from distant kingdoms. Ricky, now a young man, traveled with his parents to attend, not for entertainment, but for curiosity, always searching for new stories and unusual people. When he arrived, he saw the beautiful princess sitting alone in a rose garden, separated from the laughter of others, and sadness rested in her eyes like a shadow. Ricky, bold with curiosity, approached her and introduced himself with a playful bow. She shoddily greeted him, expecting him to praise her beauty as others did, but instead he asked about her thoughts, her dreams, and her opinions. She hesitated, embarrassed, stammering uncertainly, and Ricky gently noticed her discomfort. With surprising honesty, she confessed that she wished she were clever, because beauty had become a burden when people expected perfection. Ricky, moved by her vulnerability, told her about his gift, the one given to him at birth, the power to grant intelligence to the person he loved most. She laughed nervously, believing it impossible, but Ricky looked at her with deep sincerity and told her he admired her heart more than her face. Then he made an offer she could never forget. He would give her intelligence, but only if she consented to marry him one day. The princess froze, stunned by the condition, but something inside her stirred. Hope, longing, and a hunger for dignity. She accepted, believing that a mind was worth more than anything else she possessed. The moment she agreed, a strange sensation filled her body, as if her thoughts awakened from a long slumber. Ideas burst in her mind, questions formed effortlessly, and suddenly she could understand things she never could before. The world appeared wider, deeper, and more fascinating. Ricky smiled, satisfied, and left the festival knowing destiny would someday turn their lives in the same direction again. With her newfound intelligence, the princess transformed. She studied, wrote poetry, debated politics, composed music, and created inventions so impressive that scholars from every kingdom came to learn from her. The people adored her for her mind as much as her beauty, and she finally felt worthy of admiration. But as her brilliance grew, so did her pride. She forgot her promise to marry Ricky, believing she now deserved someone handsome, charming, and elegant. She was certain that her beauty and intellect would attract the perfect prince. One day, a neighboring kingdom sent a delegation of suitors, each more handsome than the last. A grand ball was arranged, filled with candlelight, shimmering gowns, and curious whispers. The princess danced gracefully, dazzling everyone, until she suddenly noticed a familiar face among the crowd. Ricky stood before her, awkward and unusual as ever, dressed in a simple tunic, yet with a confident spark in his eyes. He reminded her gently of her promise, of the bargain that granted her the life she now possessed. The princess felt torn. She admired him deeply, but could not ignore the pang of disappointment she felt at the thought of marrying someone others would mock. Ricky, sensing her silent struggle, smiled sadly and told her that love should never be given out of obligation. He said that he wanted her happiness, even if it meant letting her go. The princess, overwhelmed by his kindness, realized that true beauty was not in appearance, but in character. Yet she still wished he could be handsome, not for herself, but because she wanted the world to see in him what she felt in her heart. Unknown to both of them, Ricky also possessed a second gift given secretly at birth. He could grant beauty to the one who loved him sincerely. And when the princess finally confessed that she loved him, not because she owed him, but because he understood her better than anyone else, his appearance transformed. His awkward features softened, his posture grew graceful, and his eyes sparkled with warmth and charm. He became not the most beautiful man, but one whose appearance reflected his noble heart. The princess cried with joy, realizing that both of them had changed, not because of magic alone, but because love allowed them to see beyond flaws. They married in a ceremony filled with music, laughter, and gentle tears. The younger sister, wise and plain, soon found someone who loved her for her wit, and the kingdoms united in harmony. Ricky and the princess ruled with intelligence, compassion, and humor. They remembered the days when both of them felt unworthy, and so they created laws that protected people from being judged solely by appearance or talent. They built schools, libraries, and theaters so that minds could flourish and hearts could heal. And every time the princess caught her reflection, she smiled, knowing that beauty meant intelligence and love. They lived not a perfect life, but a meaningful one, proving that love transforms not just faces, but destinies. And so, Ricky with the tuft, a boy who once felt odd and unwanted, became a king, remembered not for his magic, but for the gift he gave the world. The belief that no flaw is ever so great that it cannot be redeemed by love, courage, and humanity.